Starting to... I can't tell. Yes. Okay. Hi guys, and welcome back to Reed's Readers with your host, Clinton Reed Britton. As the announcement, or the title suggests, this is our spring into reading announcement for 2023. I am again joined by the lovely Mel from Completely Melanie and Kaylani from Kaylani Simply Me, are two gorgeous, loving individuals who have always joined us for these lovely Seasonathons. Hope you guys are ready for this round. P.S. If I sound weird, I've had this head thing all week. Started off with sneezing, and then allergies kind of morphed it into more. So if I sound weird, I apologize. I may not sound weird to you guys, but I'm starting to sound weird to me. So that's weird. But this round of Spring into Readingathon is going to take place from March 1st through March 31st. And we have a lovely bingo board, which will be linked down below, along with everything else you need to know. It's all down below. So let's just get into some recommendations and the challenges. So, I put myself a goal to do here. With every book that I recommend, minus one major one, none of these books are by authors that I'm known for. None of these books, unless you're like a really close friend, like right around the last couple of months, I do talk about a couple of new authors that I wanted to recommend in this. But there will be no TJ Klune. There will be no Alice Oseman. There will be no Annabeth Albert, Adriana Mather, James Bird, or even Sarah J. Maas. I feel like we recommend those. I recommend those on my channel way too much. And I wanted to shout out some other books and stuff that I love the covers, or I have loved the book. There's one in here that I'm intimidated by that is one of Sterling's favorites that he really wants me to read. Even if it's an author that I don't particularly care for. He doesn't care for the author either, but he really loves this book. So it's like, I wanted to recommend you some fun and something different. So, I'm just going to go through each line, and if I have a book, I'll show you. There are some prompts on here that I can't really give you a book recommendation for, but you'll understand when we get there. So, our first prompt is a book I never grabbed. Hold the phone. I thought I had grabbed all my books. Okay. Spring Cleaning. Read a book that has been collecting dust. And the book on my shelves that I think, since I started this channel, it's from my very first book haul that I still haven't read, is Witches of East End by Melissa De La Cruz. I will be reading this at some point this year for So Mote It Be book club. But this is the one that's been collecting dust the longest on my shelves. Okay. Challenge number 2, or prompt number 2, is New Beginnings. Read the first book in a series. And for that, I want to recommend Murder at Pirates Cove by Josh Lanyon. Secrets of Scrabble, Book 1. This is about Ellery Page, an aspiring screenwriter and Scrabble champion who inherits... When he learns he inherits both a failing bookstore and a falling down mansion in the quaint seaside village of Pirates Cove, Rhode Island. He decides to go out and move there. He's uncertain where his life is going. And that is until the unwelcome committee, Trevor Maples, dies in his bookstore. And then he meets the lovely police officer, Jack Carson. And the cozy mystery begins from there. I highly recommend at least first 2 books in the series. I haven't read past that, but I am planning on picking these up soon. I am excited to finish this series. Next is a wet t-shirt contest, which is to read a smutty book. And a smutty book that I don't think, or an author that I don't think gets enough, author duo that doesn't get enough recognition, is K.A. Merkin. So I wanted to recommend Fill My Pain, which this follows Zane and Roach, who somehow, some way get tied together. The two enemies are cursed to feel each other's pain. So if one gets shot with the bullet, the other one feels it. And the things that go on from there. Do check trigger warnings for this before going into it. This is an enemies to lovers, forced proximity, magical bond, revenge, poverty, disability, small town, vulnerability, and versatile lovers. It's really steamy. Next is Road Trip, which is just to listen to an audiobook. I can't really recommend you a book for this. Read anything you want on audio. One of our new prompts for this year is Let It Shine, a book that has an element on the cover, i.e. water, fire, earth, or wind. Has some representation of that on the cover, in the name, in the author's name, something like that. For me, I wanted to recommend the beginning to a series that I am excited to be reading book 2 in February. And that is A Fury of Bones and Gold by Haley Turner, which is book 1 of the Soulbound series. And you have fire right there, which this is this was pitched to me as queer Shadowhunters, but this follows Patrick Collins, who is it was a special agent of the Supernatural Operations Agency. He is isn't he a mage? I can't remember if he's a mage or a wizard. He's something like that. And he goes to New York because bodies are showing up, demon-led ritual killing, and he recognizes it all too easily from his nightmares. And then enters, what is his name? John. Jono and Patrick. This is where he gets a relationship with a werewolf, and I highly recommend you check this out. Just going in with the bare minimum, and you will love it. This entire series has already been published. The last one came out last year, so I am ready to finish this series. First 7 months of this year, I will be reading all of this. Next is another new prompt, and that is Stormy Weather. Read a book that intimidates you. Now, this is probably the book on our shelves that intimidates me the most. This is one of Sterling's highest 5 stars, and he really, really, really wants me to read it, so I will be reading it at some point this year. I'm trying to push it to, July to, read one of his favorites for his birthday. And that is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. First thing that intimidates me is it's Jay Kristoff. Second, it's adult fantasy. And third, do you see that size? He's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. Next is Spring Fashion. Read a book with a beautiful cover. Now, this is totally up to interpretations. I find this as one of my favorite covers we own. And that is my favorite covers with a real person on it. And that is Ride the Wreck by Max Walker, which is book 2 in the Stonewall Investigations Blue Creek series. And tell me that this man is not gorgeous on this cover. Like, can we talk about those eyes? Can we talk about his eyes for a moment, guys? Oh, he's just so... This one follows Elijah and Ryan, and that is Ryan on the cover. And this is a small town private investigators series, cozy mysteries, very smutty, and book 2 involves drag queens. So I'm currently reading book 3. Next is Rewind. Read a past Seasonathon group book or author. And for that, you can choose any of them. I wanted to highly recommend The Deceivers by Kristen Simmons. I feel like she needs more love for this series because the series is amazing. Thank prep school for con artists. Slightly based off of Norse mythology. Do it. Next is April Showers. Read a book you think will make you cry. And this book I read this month, and I bawled my eyes out for happiness, for sadness, for all of the above. And that is The Secret Life of Albert Entwistle by Matt Kane. This follows Albert Entwistle, who isn't he 65? Oh, he's 3 months away from his 65th birthday. And he receives from his work, where he's a post office mail carrier, that he is being forced to retire. And now he doesn't know what to do with the rest of his life. And he meets a series of people who help him come to the terms of the fact that he has been hiding something about himself his entire life, the fact that he is gay. So he is now in search for the one man he has ever truly loved. And this is more about how he affects the people around him and how the people around him affect him. And it is beautiful. And I do have to tell you my favorite quote from this, which is, "I love you a little bit more than yesterday and a little bit less than tomorrow." You cannot tell me this is not going to make you bawl your eyes out. Just listen, Linda. Okay, next is Luck of the Irish. Read a book with green on the cover. And how can I not recommend a book that I recently finished that is about as green can be? And that is book 2 in the Necessary Evil series. And that is Psycho by Onley James. This series follows 7 brothers. Each book will follow a different brother and their love interests, who all were adopted by a man named Thomas Mulvaney, who, when they were all children, all were diagnosed as psychopaths because of trauma that happened in their own lives from the ages of 2 to, I think, 16 were the ages of the kids that he adopted. And Thomas Mulvaney raises them to use those abilities to kill those that the law protects, i.e., child molesters, murderers, child trafficking, women, human trafficking, sex slaves, stuff like that. The white, powerful people that the law protects. And I absolutely love this series, and I love me some Lucas Blackwell in this one. He's psychic, and just August and Lucas, I love them. Listen, I had to recommend Psycho. Next is self-care. Take a day for yourself. can't recommend anything, i.e. bubble bath, go for a walk, sleep, go shopping, do something to brighten your day. Next is Prom Queen. Read a popular book. And for this, I wanted to recommend Legendborn by Tracy Dion. Because it is popular, but I feel like it doesn't get enough recognition that it deserves. This is a King Arthur continuation involving African magic as well. All I'm going to say. We are going to skip the group book, and we'll come to the group book last. Next is Spring Forward, Read a Sequel. Now, this is the only book that you guys would know me for from my recommendations, unless you pay really close attention. But we are currently doing the Crave Along. And in March, we will be reading the third book, which is Covet by Tracy Wolff. So why not recommend for Read a Sequel the sequel I will be reading? So, why not? Next is Love is in the Air. Read a romance or a book centered around friendship. And for this, I really wanted to recommend Someday by Emma Scott. All I knew going into this was the tagline, how long would you wait for love? This follows Max and Silas, and please look up trigger warnings before going into this. I don't really want to say anything past that. I picked this up because of that tagline and because it's Nikki's all-time favorite male romance. I'm just going to say, pick it up. If you would like to know what it's about, read the description. If not, go into it blind. It's one of those that I feel like if you go into it blind, you'll really, really understand why I say that. But yes. For Over the Rainbow, read a classic or a fairy tale. I wanted to recommend one of my favorite modern day classics, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I'm not going to tell you what Outsiders is about because everybody knows. Stay cold, pony boy. Next is Spring Break. Read a book with travel or vacation in it. Now, you can interpret this however you want. I loved the idea of recommending this book for this. And that is The Murder Between Us by Tal Bauer. This is a gay Criminal Minds book. This follows FBI agent Noah Darling, who has been questioning his sexuality. And he meets Cole Kennedy while they are in Las Vegas. They have one of the best nights ever. And then Noah gets a call that he has to return home back to something. It's either Idaho or Ohio. I can never remember. Iowa. He has to return home to Iowa because there is a serial killer that needs to be caught. And he thinks he will never see Cole Kennedy again. But knowing that they are going to be receiving a FBI agent from the Behavior Analysis Unit of the FBI is coming to join them. And it just, lo and behold, happens to be Cole. And it's them falling in love and solving a murder. And I absolutely Love this duology. I want Tal Bauer to write more books in that series because I need more Noah and Cole. Just saying. Refresh your TBR. Get yourself a new book. I can't really recommend you a book. Then you have Women's March. Read a book with a strong female character. When I was sitting there looking at my books, I had this one for a beautiful cover, and then it like really clicked that this worked amazing for a strong female character for me. And that is Blood Like Magic by Lissel Sandberg. Sandbury. Berg. The fuck did I get Sandberg? This is a really fun witchy story. This is Voya Thomas comes to terms with her calling, and she gets a trial that she has to kill her first love and the things that go on from there. I don't want to tell you any more than that. This is a super popular book as well, but I feel like this one doesn't get as much. This is by far probably my favorite fantasy duology I have ever read. And I want to read more from this author in the future. Next one of our other new ones is Friendship Bracelets. Buddy, read a book. Can't recommend you a book, but buddy, read a book. You could always buddy read Kevin. Join us. One of us. Next is one of our other new challenges, and that is Flower Power. Read a book with flowers on the cover. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot, because the book I'm going to recommend is, I'm recommending The Lake by Natasha Preston, which has flowers right here. This book reminds me, if you're a huge fan of Riley Sager, I highly recommend at least The Lake by Natasha Preston. This book reminds me a lot of The Last Time I Lied, and that is all I'm going to say. Except the tagline is, "Welcome to Camp Pine Lake, where the only thing scarier than a ghost story is the past coming to haunt you." Next is Read Like an Aries, and read a book under 250 pages. Something that Mel has done a lot of research into what an Aries is, because you get Aries, this is y'all's time of the year, and her son is an Aries, and he has a small attention span, so we like the idea of having a short book. And for this, I am going to recommend Ghost by Joel Abernathy, which comes in at a whopping 176 pages. This is book one in the Diaphoria Mafia family. This one... Oh, what is his name? Oh... Oh, this follows Enzo and Echo. Enzo accidentally kills a guy in self-defense, but the fact that he is the son to the lead mafia group in the town, and the guy he accidentally kills is the son to their arch rivals. So they hire Echo to make it all disappear. And it's their love story. Mafia romance. Love, love, love this. Cannot wait to finish this series this year. Next is Tiptoe. Tiptoe. through the tulips. That was stupid. I should not have done that because it hurt. Read a book with either pink and or yellow on the cover. And when I looked at my shelves, I have not read this book yet. It's been on several TBRs, but it's the first one I saw that had pink and yellow, and it just kept screaming. So this will probably be what I read for this one. And that is Bunny by Mona Awad. All I know is dark academia, similar to the Heathers. But pink, yellow. Next is Spring Court. Read a book that involves fairies. This was super not that hard for me, but I did not want to recommend any Sarah J. Maas. Instead, I would love to recommend one of my new favorite series. That is White Trash Warlock by David R. Slayton. This follows Adam Binder, whose family sent him to the nut house because he is a magician. No, warlock. He is a warlock who has the sights. But then his brother Bobby calls him, and he has to travel to Denver, Colorado, to save his sister-in-law, who is being possessed. And the things that happen from there, including him meeting, shit. What's his name? Vic meets Vic, the police officer, and it's their love story. There are fairies, there are elves, there's a lot in this, and I highly recommend you just go into it kind of blind and have some fun. This series literally is right underneath the Green Creek series as one of my favorite Mel series that I have ever read. Actually, I think this is my third favorite series of all time. 1 and 2, well, this could be actually my second favorite series of all time, because 1 and 2 equal as number 1, and that's Heartstopper and Green Creek, so yes. And last but not least, our last prompt before we get to the group book is Tiny Umbrellas. Drink your favorite iced beverage and share it with us on Instagram and any of our handles, which are all linked, at Reads Readers, at Kaylani Simply Me, at Completely Mel, or you can tweet us also at Twitter at Seasonathon. Now, are y'all ready for the group book? I don't own the group book, but I own the author's debut novel. I own The Love Hypothesis, but we will be reading Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. And I am so excited to be reading more from Ali Hazelwood because I really loved The Love Hypothesis. So this is going to be super fun. All I know about Love on the Brain is it's another female STEM cozy rom-com relationship. And I'll probably be reading her short stories as well in March. But join us. Our live show for our group book, Love on the Brain, will be on April 15th, because that is when the author had available for us to be able to do it. Yes, it's like 3 Saturdays after the readathon, but I hope you guys still join us. Love on the Brain. I may, depending on my work schedule, reread Love Hypothesis. Do an entire month of Ali Hazelwood. Who knows? But that is all I've got for you guys. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, hit that subscribe. And comment down below and let us know, are you taking part in Seasonathon Spring into Reading? Which our theme this year is bunnies and eggs. Because they're like, we're all about the hoppy little bunnies this year. So I hope you guys hop in for some fun. I'm going to shut up because I am way too horny today. That's all I've got for you guys. I will see y'all in the comments. And when we premiere, I'm probably already in the comments with this premiere. I'm an idiot. Shutting up now. I will talk to y'all later. Remember, kids, always be fabulously yourself. Bye!